All right, Cossacks, Hetmans, brethren, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Fat Isol telling you a story from astride his metal horse, a story of a great war, of a great conflict, where all of Asia clashed against all of Europe. Well, most of Europe at any rate, and most of Asia. But it is a story of our times that 3 years ago to this day, the first blows of Asia were struck against the battlements of Europe when Russia invaded Ukraine. And of course, the war had been going on for 10 years before with the Donbass separatism and the occupation of Crimea. However, you could say that on February 24th, 2022, the war began in its current scale, in its current scope. And this is what most people think of when they say the war. Even for most Ukrainians, before the war, that was something that was going on over there and not over here. Well, yeah, the reality of war changed for a lot of people on February 24th, 2022. And reality in general changed for a lot of people. Our world has been transformed greatly in these past 3 years. So let's just look at all of these transformations, right? Let's just break them down. Now, first of all, Ukraine has been transformed greatly. From what my Ukrainian friends tell me, this is no longer the kind of post-Soviet state that we are used to thinking about when we're thinking about Ukraine. It was always in a process of transforming ever since the Revolution of Dignity, what is popularly known as Maidan, unleashed these forces of modernization, but also the forces of nationalism within Ukraine. And it is precisely these forces of nationalism which allowed the Ukrainian nation and the Ukrainian state to survive in the face of Russian aggression. People do not die for money. People do not die because they're told to. People die. People go out, fight, and kill and die because they believe in something, because they believe in protecting what they value, and because that which they value is worth protecting. And for the Ukrainians, it has really solidified their separateness from the Russians. I mean, it was always there, but it was maybe inchoate, maybe it was expressed as a song and as a literary tradition, and but now it became concretized as actual political and military fact, and there is really no going back from that. I've discussed on this channel some time ago about who's winning the war, and if the war was ever about Russia's belonging to Ukraine, well, the Russians have already lost this war because the Ukrainians will never belong to them, right? The separation of Russia from Ukraine has been final and complete, and furthermore, Ukraine is probably now the most militarized society on this planet. It is very much like a garrison state at this point. And, Vladimir Putin's biggest fear of a vicious anti-Russian militaristic state spawning right on Russia's borders, well, it's happened, and it is actually controlling a part of Russia. It is controlling a part of Kursk Oblast. Now, of course, lots of Ukrainians will tell you that Kursk is Ukraine, and Belgorod is Ukraine, and Rostov is Ukraine, and Kuban is Ukraine. And I'm inclined to agree with these people because I've seen the ethnographic maps, I've seen the dialectical maps. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? So that has been Ukraine's transformation. It has been really wrenched out of this quote-unquote Russian world, which is really just a pale shadow of the Byzantine world, and planted squarely where it belongs with the West as one of the successor states of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. You should look at that history sometimes. You know, those Russians, they love their history, but nothing from before the 19th century. Don't look there, because there you're going to find some real unpleasant facts. Russia has been fundamentally transformed. I mean, it was always basically a gas station run by a very, very shoddily organized mafia, but now their strength has been shown to be very weak, very low. They're not a military power. They're not a naval power. They're not an economic power. What are they? They're an espionage power. They can get spies, they can get subverters, they can fuck you up in the mind. They can mind fuck you. They can try and mind control you like they have truly depressing numbers of people in the West, and even in Ukraine, even in some of the post-Soviet states and the former Warsaw Pact countries. But their military power, their actual power, is not real. They have. I was recently speaking to a friend that the figure from literature that Russia is most similar to would be Satan. And I don't just mean this in the sense that they are evil. I mean, obviously they are evil. Obviously they are satanic in the sense that they would love to destroy all of creation because of how ugly and pathetic they are. But they are satanic in the sense that they lie. And even if they're not doing malfeasance directly, which Satan rarely does in the Bible, what they do is they get you to give in to your worst impulses, to your sins. Right? And in the case of the Russo-Ukrainian war, they want you to give in to your sloth, so as, do nothing where you should be doing things, and especially sloth in its aspect of despair, right? Of, whatever could we do? We're just the decadent and weak West, and sloth in its aspect of moral inaction, in the sense that you know what the right thing is, but you still select not to do it because of terrestrial needs. And they also want us Europeans to give in to greed, which is, you want the cheap Russian gas? Well, all you have to do is sell out your brothers. You have to sell out Ukrainians. And I'm happy to say that Europeans have, for the most part, elected not to give in to sloth and greed. I'm sure that the Russians are tugging on a lot of other sins, a lot of other, low urges of the human being in order to corrupt us. There's certainly lust at play, because they're pretending that Russian women are some drop-dead gorgeous blonde beauties when the reality is, different. And so that's the Russians. But they have been sort of exposed that there is no military strength behind it. There is no economic strength. Even like they're always beating their chest about their nukes, but I don't think their nukes work. Like a country which cannot build a decent tank or a decent wristwatch or a decent anything, how are they going to construct a functioning nuclear device which is orders of magnitude more complex than any of those items, right? Well, the mask has fallen, and now we sort of understand what they are. It's like the medieval people just realizing that the only power of Satan is the power to lie, to deceive, which is still a very dangerous power, but he's got nothing else. Anyways, Europe is being transformed. Now, it takes some time, and Europe is an old and big place, so it's going to move at a slower fucking traffic, man. It's going to move at a slower pace, and it is today the 24th, so we have the preliminary results of the German federal election for the legislative body. I forget the name, and it would appear that the Christian Democrats under Friedrich Merz have won. And what's more, the defeat has sidelined Olaf Scholz of the Social Democrats, and he's probably going to be replaced by Boris Pistorius, who was his defense minister during the Scholz government. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that Germany is now going to have a Russia hawk government, right? It's going to be led by Friedrich Merz, right? And there are some rumors of what the coalitions are going to be, and I'm not going to get into that. We're going to do a separate video on Germany soon. But this is a bellwether. You also have Macron in France rattling his saber, saying that Europe must become independent of America. NATO is dead, basically. We are doing the Europe thing now. And I say bully for that. That's exactly what I've been recommending on this channel and elsewhere. So in this sense, Germany really is the heart of Europe. So what happens to Germany, Europe will follow, because, well, it's just a fact. It's just a fact of life. And finally, this war has transformed America, and I'm sad to say that this beautiful country, once beautiful country, has been transformed for the worse. I think that a lot of the blame can be placed squarely at the feet of Joe Biden, who dithered when decisive action was necessary, and of course the Democratic Party. They have been doing America wrong. There's just no two ways about it. Not just in the sense of geopolitics and lacking support for Ukraine and not working with the Europeans but also domestically speaking. And now America has been delivered into the hands of a cabal of gangsters, of the American kakistocracy led by Donald Trump, by Elon Musk, by all of these scummy, disgusting people. And these people are obviously, trying to destroy the entire Western world. They have tried foisting this pro-Russian party of dissatisfied, just this pro-Russian party, anti-European, anti-German party of Alternative für Deutschland on Germany. They're also supporting a whole host of anti-European parties all throughout Europe. But it would appear their influence is a lot less than anyone assumed. So Europe should be fine. It is unfortunate about America. It is unfortunate that this country has now descended into mafia rule, and just the sheer incompetency of the Musk administration is flabbergasting. Sometimes I'm at such a loss for words to just how stupid these people are, which is probably why they're winning, right? When you get the people who can speak out against you to be at a loss of words because of how fucking stupid you are, you look like you know what you're doing, because nobody can... The things you're doing are so stupid that nobody can accurately describe them, even to criticize. So, so that gives you the rhetorical initiative. And all of this because of a conflict, of an age-old conflict, really, over Russia and Ukraine. This battle for the soul of the Rus, of who is the true successor of Kiev, of who is the true inheritor of rightly guided Eastern Slavic statedom. And, well, I think you guys understand that I am on the side of Ukraine. I believe that the sort of rough and tumble Cossack democracy is always a superior solution for how to organize a state, well, at least compared to the kakistocratic authoritarian system of the Russian Federation. So 3 years of resilience, 3 years of heroism, 3 years of transformation, and transformation is always exciting. Transformation, I feel privileged to have been alive at the same time as this momentous transformation of the world, to observe it, to document it, to learn from it, and if I am worthy, to take part in it. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, and bye-bye, folks.